Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we got the Minnesota Timberwolves going against the Lakers tonight in Target Center, Minnesota, at 5 p.m. on a lovely Saturday evening. And I turned on the camera in the middle of doing homework because there was a stat there that was so glaring that I felt I could wrap it up right there. The Minnesota Timberwolves have only played 3 games since they've seen us last. They beat us without LeBron James, and then they played the Kings, where they won the game by 8, OKC, where they lost the game, and then against the Dallas Mavericks without Luka, without Kyrie, and they won by 8. I think it was by 8. Don't quote me on that one. But the glaring stat that made me say, yo, I need to tell my people what's going on, is that the Minnesota Timberwolves have literally turned the ball over 46 times in the last 2 games. 46 times. 16 of those were Ant-Man. We need to take advantage of this team. I know they're supposed to be the best team in the Western Conference. I know they've won games lately. You know what I mean? It's not like they're on a losing streak or anything. But the fact that they are turning the ball over like that tells me that something is wrong. They are slipping. And as I read in the last game, their coach was saying that they were having some issues offensively with their maturity, something that they ain't had problems with all year long. But right now, they went on a little bit of a stretch, and I guess they started to unravel. I'm sensing a chink in their armor that we need to catch them slipping tonight in their building and get back a game in this series. Karl Towns just came back from an injury. He was out of the Sacramento game, I believe. He also had like 10 turnovers in the last 2 games. This team didn't have too many forced turnovers. I think, if I'm not mistaken, as I just read the stat, I think Dallas only had like 9 steals, 24 turnovers, most unforced. They're coughing. They're coughing, Lakers. So we need to go ahead and try to throw our defensive guys at them. Cam Reddish and Vanderbilt need to be sharp tonight. Anthony Davis, we need you guys. Those are the 3 players I'm looking at tonight saying, understand this stat and be on heightened alert against this team, because the one thing that they're going to do is turn the ball over tonight. It ain't been that long since we last seen them. They beat us, and they ain't really played great ever since, to be honest with you. They really haven't. They barely beat that Dallas team who didn't have Luka. You know, they let Tim Hardaway go for 35 points. His team is slipping. They are slipping, and it ain't showing up in the record yet. But this is the plateau, go back to earth moment for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are headed there. I've watched enough basketball to know when a team is plateaued. They have plateaued. It's time for them to come back down to earth. They are not the best team in the Western Conference, and we could take it to them tonight and start the process of them starting to lose a little bit. I'm telling y'all, I know what I'm talking about. Ant-Man is fantastic. But them turnovers, if he don't cut those down, he's going to be the reason it goes left. Because he has the ball in his hands too often for him to be coughing the ball up this much. So that's something. And then Karl Towns with the injury. Yeah. Because after you get past them 2 players, Jaden McDaniel's been shooting well. Excellent defensive player. You know, they got Naz Reid. He's solid. Also been turning the ball over a lot in these last 2 games. They're not. I'm going to say something. I don't know if most people believe me. But they're not that. Minnesota is solid, but they're not that, man. They are not the best team in the Western Conference. They're not a team that's going to the finals. None of that. They're not that. Now, Ant-Man may be that, but they are not that. And so I was just been waiting for them to start plateauing, and I think they're starting to right now. Because you figured the injuries coupled with the fact that they're barely beating teams that don't have their best players on it, you know, beating us without LeBron James, but I thought we put up a good effort against them. I told y'all I thought we would have won the game if he played and did his regular stuff. This is the night. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is happy birthday, King James. I'm so caught up in everything that we're doing that I wanted to start the video saying happy B-Day to the King. But honestly, I'm like, yo, look at these turnovers, yo. That's the birthday present I bring to you, King James. These boys turn the ball over like crazy, and they're going to be gifting you fast breaks if they keep this up. So that's the first. That's what needs to be said, man. 39 years of age, man. 1984 was a fantastic year. It's the year I was born too, man. I'm a couple months older than the King, man, and I can tell you my body is sore this morning. And I don't play no basketball. So the fact that he's doing this at this level is amazing, man. And I remember what he did in the bubble, man. That's what comes to mind. It's just the mental strength and the unmitigated focus that a guy who's got so much going on, who's got the luxuries of the world at his fingertips, taking months at a time away from all of those luxuries, away from his family, to sit in a bubble the year where Kobe passed. A lot was going on. COVID was going on, obviously. And he focused and rose to the top of the ranks to win the NBA championship in that bubble. And just like Bam Adebayo said, who was right there with us in the finals up against us, that was the hardest championship and the most difficult championship to have won. And so when I think of LeBron James' tenure of the Lakers, he's done a lot of things to be proud of, but I don't think anything more proud of his effort, along with the rest of that team that year, at getting through that bubble, away from their families, away from all of the luxury, away from everything that they otherwise be comfortable with, to focus on basketball and winning that championship. So that's his legacy here, man. That's what comes to mind for me on his birthday. I really, really was inspired and appreciated that. And that mentality and the focus that he showed is something that we can mimic in certain situations where we, have a hard time getting through whatever it is we need to get through. Just remember what LeBron James did in that bubble and how difficult that must have been for him, who's away from all the things that ultimately make his life as luxurious as it could possibly be, and his family and the things that matter. Getting away from all of that and focusing on a common goal for months at a time. That type of mental fortitude, that type of discipline, it's admirable. So that's what comes to mind this morning. I don't know that he plays tonight. He's a game time decision. Maybe he doesn't want to go. Last time we didn't have him against Minnesota, and I think it cost us. Last time he had a birthday, he went for 45 against the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta. Fantastic play there. So my gut says, yes, we will see the King tonight. Now, we also have a back-to-back tomorrow against New Orleans, 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, where we will be facing the same team that we beat by 44 points in the play-in tournament championship knockout round, whatever the knockout round, whatever you call it, second knockout game. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be heightened and ready to try to take advantage of our fatigue. I'd imagine guys are going to celebrate the King's birthday tonight. Excuse me. And if that's the case, hopefully they don't drink too much wine. Make it water, make it juice. Try not to do wine till tomorrow night is what I would tell my team. But nevertheless, man, it's going to be a situation where hopefully we have not only his birthday to celebrate, but also a winning against the Minnesota Timberwolves, of whom is the number one team in the Western Conference right now, in their building. So, it's going to be a situation where, in my humble opinion, we got a chance to catch Minnesota, man. When I look at the homework on that, they did shoot 50% from the field and 50% from the three, I believe it was, in the Dallas game. So they're shooting well, but they're coughing, man. They are hawking and spitting that basketball out of their hands. And at this point, I really think that that's going to continue. I have no reason to believe that's going to slow down. I don't at all. And since we just got a good look at this team last week, our game plan against them should be pretty solidified. We know what we need to do. Half of the players on our team didn't play for this team. You look at D'Lo, who's coming off a really good game since being moved to the bench. He shot well. And there's a heightened level of interest when guys come back to their old team in a lot of cases. So I expect for him to carry what he did against Charlotte, where he had 9 assists and like 15 points or something like that. Shot pretty well. Carry that into this team's building tonight and be comfortable there. Vanderbilt is in much better shape this week than he was last week. He was kind of working off coming back. Now he looks like himself or closer to it. He did against Charlotte. I thought he looked really good. So it's only uphill from here. Hopefully he doesn't have any setbacks with the heel. Taurean Prince, who didn't shoot well in the last one, but throughout the course of the last week, including against Minnesota last week, he shot very well. So I expect for him to be heightened tonight, be ready to go. And, we want to beat this team. We want to beat this team. We expect them to turn the ball over against our defense. Given the fact they turned the ball over against OKC and turned the ball over so much against Dallas, who don't really have defenders like that. They do have some defenders, don't get it twisted, but Ain't no Luka on the floor, ain't no Kyrie on the floor. They should not have only won by 8. So they're slipping, man. I sense it. I smell blood in the water with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I want my team to jump on top of them, have the same level of focus they had the last time they saw them. Because I thought we looked good against Minnesota in the first quarter, in the second quarter, first half. We brought the intensity necessary to meet the best team in the Western Conference and just fell short without our best guy. That's what it was. But I thought AD had a pretty good game in that one. They pushed him around. He played strong. Victorian Prince shot well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly how the stats went in that game, but it wasn't a lack of intensity that I thought we showed. It wasn't a lack of focus that I thought we showed. We just fell short against a team that just was better than us and showed it that night. But this ain't that. We should be able to come back healthy this night. Like I said, Vando is a week later. It's a week later, several games later for Vando. He's been looking good ever since. The new starting lineup routine, I'd imagine he's probably going to stick with the same starting lineup. I don't know if that's smart. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, it's a new team with different needs. But one thing's for certain, we're coming off a game where Christian Wood played a lot of minutes, at like 9 points, 5 rebounds, several assists. I like his playmaking, by the way. Christian Wood makes good plays off for his teammates. I really like that aspect of his game. It doesn't get as utilized as much, and we saw it against Charlotte. I thought he did good things for us. And then Max Christie was fantastic in that last game. Guys who have been in the doghouse, who I always thought could contribute if he wouldn't have benched them. We needed what they did, and we saw against Charlotte how much better our team looked when we had them out there scoring 133 points, the second highest point total of our season this year. So when you consider what the Lakers have been doing, the way we played against Charlotte, the way we played against OKC, I think if we bring the right intensity to this matchup, we could see ourselves winning this game. I really do. I look at the record to these two teams, and I look at a hobbled Karl Anthony Towns. He is not well. He's playing through it. Maybe it's a game time decision. The only player we expected to miss the game tonight is Vincent, of course, who's going to be out probably for another month and a half, 2 months. So it's one of those situations where you're like, we're at least starting to have our full team together for a length of time. I don't expect any of our stars to miss this game. I don't expect, like I said, Vanderbilt, Cam should be out there. I know Cam missed the last one. I wouldn't mind bringing Cam off the bench and letting Rui continue to start in this lineup. The projected starters on NBA.com showed that we would likely start Cam and Reddish together, but I don't want to do that no more. Stagger them, just like we should be staggering D'Lo and Austin. I don't like seeing those combinations of players on the floor together. I don't. Stagger them. And Rui starting in the last game gave us a plus 35. He looked really good on both sides of the floor. I'd like to see him stay in the starting lineup, especially since it's likely we're going to trade him anyway. I'd like to see him start all the way out. And so these are things that I just hope to see, man. I think our team is just better if we kind of use more two-way ability, take the guys who could do things on both sides of the floor and give them a bit more of an emphasis starting the games. I think that we'll probably be better for it. So, yeah, man, Minnesota, like I said, they shot well, man. 50 from behind the arc, 50 from the 3 in the last one against Dallas. But the turnovers were glaring, super glaring. They had a game against the Sacramento Kings right after they played us. They shot 30% from behind the arc. And I think that was the game that Karl missed. I'm pretty certain he missed that game. They did win it. But that's 30% from the 3, that's not going to beat us. You got to shoot better than that if you want to beat us. So we got to be very aware. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's been playing well as of late. He had a big moment against OKC down the stretch of the game, even though they did lose that matchup to his cousin, Shea. At the end of the day, he's starting to play well. Of course, Rudy Gobert, man, the only person that is slotted above Anthony Davis for Defensive Player of the Year as of right now, which I think is inexplicable. There's no way Rudy should get his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year before Anthony Davis gets his 1st. Put it into that. Just put it into that. The only way AD shouldn't be Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion, is if he goes down with an injury, knock on wood. But as otherwise, he definitely should be the Defensive Player of the Year this year. So I'm going to throw that out there. He's playing some fantastic ball. I don't think I've put enough of an emphasis on just how great his stretch has been as of late, because we've been losing a lot of the games he's been playing fantastic in. But, I'm not going to sit up here and say his stats are empty or some crazy stuff like that. He's just playing great. And then most of the great production that we have going on down there on both sides is got a lot to do with what he's doing, both on the boards, shooting his mid-range, which has been falling as of late, shooting the three, which has been falling as of late, and ultimately being his normal self-blocking shots and getting steals. So Anthony Davis is playing at a very, very, very all-NBA level. And hopefully it can translate to us beating the number one seed tonight, man. Hopefully it can, because he deserves to see big wins when playing this well. We've been winning games. He goes 15 points, 15 rebounds, stuff like that. But can we win when he's going for 34 blocks and all that stuff that he's been doing as of late? So that's what I want to see, man. It's time for us to back Anthony Davis up and get him some victories as he's continuing to be on this fantastic stretch. And what I think has changed is just looking at his conditioning. As I said, his off-season conditioning really, he's put a different emphasis into it over the last 2 years. And now that we're somewhat into like 35 games into the season, you're seeing the conditioning level just be where it needs to be. He looks like he's better conditioned for what he's doing, and it's translating him to being a bit more spry, a lot faster than he was 3 years ago when we were complaining about him. We said he had grandmama legs, looked like he'd been sitting down eating biscuits and gravy and stuff like that. All that's gone. He's in a space right now where he's moving good, and it's translating to us playing better. He has more lift on his jump shot, and it's falling. And I think that's opening up his offensive game now that jumper is falling. We talked about D'Lo Russell and how he likes to pick his spots in a previous Laker video, a few Laker videos ago. And how, he tends to not be able to get into rhythm because he's taking jumpers instead of forcing the issue. And when the jumper's falling, it leads to him having good numbers scoring. And when the jumper's not falling, it leads to him looking like he's had an awful offensive game. But the reality is he's just picking his shots, and either it's falling or it's not. I think Anthony Davis has a similar way of attacking, although he can get easier buckets a lot of the time. On the nights where he only has 15 points, on the nights where he's going 4 for 15, it's usually the same type of thing going on, where he's just taking jump shots and either they fall or they don't. And as of late, they've been falling, and that's why we've been seeing higher scoring numbers from AD. But I don't think his attack has been that much different, to be honest with you, with the exception of the Charlotte game where he was dunking on everybody's head. It helps him get them easy buckets that D'Lo just ultimately doesn't get because he ain't dunking on nobody. But I want to see Anthony Davis continue to force the issue. That's basically what I'm saying. The jump shot falling is fantastic, and I'm glad it is. But if he's only picking his spots around 15 feet, we're relying upon those shots to either fall or not, and we usually don't rebound those shots very well. So I want to see him continue to attack people. Obviously, he's going up against Rudy, so it's a little different tonight. But we are going to get more drawn fouls, get him to the line more, for which he's been shooting that very well as well. We're going to have more success if he's not settling for that jumper. More so going into the paint and dunking on people and screaming in their faces. For which hopefully they don't call a technical on him tonight, because they did when he did that against Nick Richards against Charlotte. So that was bogus. But nevertheless, we're very pleased with Anthony Davis, man. The jump shot is falling. That's the bottom line. Over the last couple of years, we've been talking about his jump shot shooting in the 20% range, just breaking it every time. And this year, it's really getting up there. He's hitting that thing. So, as long as that's the case, you'll see him hover above 21 points a game. And he's, like I said, he's always going to block shots. He's always going to get boards. So, this is one of them dudes, man. And he's in rare form, and we got to appreciate that. And hopefully we can keep him healthy. Don't roll no ankles, don't hurt no hips, stuff like that. And keep the conditioning where it is. So I like what I'm seeing from AD. I think everybody is. And he deserves more flowers for how well he's been playing as of late. So, yeah, man, these are things that just come to mind immediately. Hopefully we can get Christian Wood on the floor with him. I think that plays a big dividend for him out there. He just plays better with Christian on the floor. With Christian plays well with him on the floor, and I think they should be together out there more often. Austin Reeves, man, we saw how great Austin looked in that last game, behind the back layup. You know what I mean? That was a big highlight for us. He's been making plays. His jump shot is falling as well. He's getting his three-point plays going, which is a strength of his. Getting fouled and finishing through the whistle. I'm very hopeful we're not seeing the last days of him being on our team, because he's been involved in trade rumors, and much has been said about him being untouchable. But it's also understood that we may have to throw him in to get somebody big, and the Lakers are always aiming for something big. So we got to appreciate Austin Reeves in purple and gold, because I just don't know what the future holds. There's rumors, I guess, going around that he and Darvin Ham haven't been on the same page, or however that looks. I don't know if I believe that or not. But what I can say is Darvin has been doing everything he can to keep from starting him. And while I think I understand why that is, to keep continuity on the bench and to keep one of the most consistent scorers off of our bench on our bench, more or less, I also don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So that's a tea leaf as well, man. Maybe they just not on the same page. Maybe Darvin's doing everything to keep from starting him, to keep from promoting him, even though I think that's the wrong way of looking at the starting lineup anyway. As I mentioned in the video that I made yesterday about the Lakers. So, all in all, man, I just want our team to get on the right page, man. If we're winning basketball games, ain't going to be no reason to complain. Ain't no reason to point fingers or none of that. Issues stem from people not winning for the sacrifices they're making. If a guy's going to be sitting games, you want to win those games. And I think that's what we've really been dealing with. Guys like Max Christie and Christian Wood been sitting, being in, DMPs in games we've been losing. You know what I mean? So it's very easy to lose your locker room when that's the case. You got to get these guys that we know are productive back in rotation. And I think we did a better job of that against Charlotte. Hopefully coach doesn't take any steps back, because those two guys particularly played well when he played them. So, yeah, man, no more benching Christian Wood. We know who needs to be benched. We know who's not good on this roster. It ain't no secret, man. And those ain't the ones. So that's really what it is, man. Guys aren't perfect, but guys are not going to get better by sitting watching their team lose. Period. So I think Charlotte is a template for what we could see being better. Maybe we still tweak the starting lineup a little bit. Obviously, with Cam Reddish being removed, it changed our rotation a little bit. So now that we're inserting him back in, hopefully his shot can fall and his offense can come around, so he doesn't feel so much like a one-way player for us, which is really glaring given the fact that Vanderbilt is as well. And, of course, other guys inverted for offense instead of defense just the same. So we need to find some continuity. We need our one-way guys to become more two-way, period. And we got to use two-way guys like Max Christie, because Max is definitely that. So love what I saw from him in the last game, blocking shots, hitting shots as well, rebounding the ball, which is a strength of his. Max Christie just looked really good in that last game, man. I just want to see him get those minutes. And, of course, Rui with the plus 35 in the starting lineup. These are the tweaks into the rotation that I just think make us so much better in theory, although we were going up against a bad Charlotte team undermanned. But nevertheless, we played well. However they looked, we looked our best. So hopefully we can carry that into Minnesota, man. Drop another 133 on Minnesota's head. They are a fantastic defensive team, and I think this is an opportunity for us to make a statement against them. Although they play great defense, they're going to give us the ball back, and they can get us in transition to move. And so that's what I want to see my Lakers do, man. I don't think they're going to be taking care of the ball tonight. Trends are trends, and they are on a very glaring one. Super glaring. 46 turnovers in 2 games. That ain't nothing to play with, man. So get that ball from their hands and go the other way. At any rate, the Lakers are going to be wearing their purple jerseys tonight in Minnesota. My very least favorite Laker uniforms in probably a long time. I just don't like those. I don't know why. I just can't stand them. And the Minnesota Timberwolves will be wearing their throwback whites. I call them the J.R. Rider whites. Basically the first white jerseys they ever wore when their team first got into the league. Those are the white jersey throwback that they're going to be wearing tonight. Something, if not those, then templates off of those and look just like them. So that's what's going to be on the kids tonight. And look out for Ant-Man. Look out for McDaniels. Look out for Karl Towns, who's going to be trying to hobble in there half mast with an injury. I'm sure he'll play because it's the Lakers and everybody wants to play injured through play for us, against us rather. And so I'm pretty sure he'll be out there. But yeah, man, Mike Conley, look out for him. He had a very good game against us in the last one. So we got to be on high alert for Mike Conley and guard the perimeter. Ant-Man's going to shoot it. Nas Reed is going to shoot it. Of course, Karl is going to shoot it. McDaniels has been shooting very well this year. His offensive game is growing every season. You know what I mean? So that those are the players that come to mind immediately. We have to guard the perimeter if we want to beat this team, no doubt. Troy Brown, obviously we know Troy. He used to play for the Lakers, so be on high alert for ex-Lakers on this team. He may want to have a bigger game than usual going up against us, just because that's how that goes. So we're on high alert. We understand this team is good. Nikhil Alexander Walker, they got a good bench this year. I don't know who all they're gonna use on that bench. Obviously, you want to talk about Kyle Anderson, who can always go for a triple-double, who can always have a good game because he's a good player in a lesser role. But one of the reasons why they're one of the better teams in the league is because they have guys like that they could turn to. So be very aware of slow-mo at all times, because I've seen him torch us too many times in different ways. He don't have to have played well to come into a game against the Lakers and ball out. He could have been trash in the last 8 games. The Lakers in town, here comes slow-mo. It's been like that the whole time. So be aware of him tonight, please. And yeah, man, these are the things that come to mind. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves, first overall seed, but also a team that's throwing the ball away. I mean, they throwing that thing away. So we got to take it from them. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.